Hey everyone, it's Gabriel from St. Cloud Nursery. Today I am in my studio going through every matte varnish that I have. As a lot of you know, we're having some supply chain issues, factories are taking breaks, all kinds of goodness. But you know, we can hack this, we can get through this. So I went through my cupboard and I found every matte varnish that I owned. Some of them I don't have a lot of, but I'm still going to test them out just in case you're able to score it. You know what I mean? Some of these things, and I'll tell you as we go, you can't find online anymore. But you might know somebody or you might come across one. I think I have 14 or 15. I'm not sure, maybe 15. And I have some tape here. And I'm just going to label each one of these varnishes. Now, number one is this one right here. It's heat set paint, it's Genesis, and you can still find some matte varnish in some places, but it's super hard to find. If you do find it, you are going to find it in the teeny weeny size. Let me show you what it looks like. You will probably find it in this size. I think this is a 5 gram, or you will find it in this little size. I think this is a 1/2 ounce. So these are the sizes that you will find it in, and the price is a little bit higher than it usually is. And some places will only sell you 2 because they don't want people hoarding it. I am running low on it, but I'm not freaking out. Necessity is the mother of invention, and we're gonna come up with some other ideas. There are recipes that include cornstarch. I might do another video on that, but I'm not super comfortable using a food product to seal a baby. I got to think about it more. I got to do a little bit more research. If it works, it works. And if people have long-term success, that's great. The problem for me is, will it attract insects? Will it attract animals? Will it start to rot or to decay or to mildew? Those are issues that come to mind when I think of using something like cornstarch. Probably not an issue, but again, I don't want to have anybody do that when I haven't done enough of my homework. And I think I've got enough to chew on here with all of these varnishes. So like I said, number one is Genesis Heat Set Matte, and it's right here. You can see this is matte. It's very light. And this is how much matte I have left. I have a couple of little tiny 5 grammers, but that's not even gonna get a whole baby done. What I used on my last babies, I absolutely loved. I did this on the Haunted Circus babies. It's this. It's Folk Art Soft Touch Top Coat. This is so pretty. It's so velvety. The only problem I had with it was the cure. This doesn't cure, and it's impervious. If you get moisture on it, it turns opaque. It dries right away, it doesn't come off, and it'll go back to being clear again. But if you are spraying a baby's head and you notice it looks white or chalky, just give it a few seconds, it'll dry and it'll go back to its normal self. But that's the only thing to say bad about this. But I'll give this another shot. Let's call this number 2. Again, I can't find it anywhere, but you never know where you're at in the world. You may be able to find it. That is Folk Art Soft Touch Top Coat. I love this. If this ever comes back, I'm going to get a lot of it. Along those lines, I have, let's see, I have DuraClear Matte Varnish. That's a Deco Art product. We'll call that number 3. So I haven't put any of the air dry varnishes on this belly plate yet. And I will do that in a minute, but let's just look at the varnishes first. You might have some of these in your cupboard. Here's another Deco Art Premium Matte Medium. Okay, this isn't a varnish, but you can use it as a top coat. Not the best idea, but in a pinch, should work. Now remember, we're gonna put this over a baby that's already been painted, either with heat set or air dry paint. We have Americana. This is the best stuff right here. And I don't know what happened over there at that factory. It's this lavender lovely business here. I have a full jar of this, you know. I could probably make a ton of money selling that, but I really need it, so I won't. This is number 5, Americana Decor Soft Touch Varnish. This stuff is amazing. This is my favorite. I think it's everybody's favorite. And this, I think, was discontinued way before all the, you know, the shortage business. But in case you have some, or you know somebody who has some, you never know. Ask your craft friends. Lots of people collect stuff like this. Now, I went ahead and bought this. This, I'm not sure if it's still available, but I heard this was the second best thing. Decor Art Americana Ultra Matte Varnish. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know if this took the place of this or they're two different animals, but we'll find out. Number 7. I found this online. This is Art Advantage. Here is that little symbol. That's who makes my glossy glazy stuff. So this is number 7. I got it online, have not used it yet. It's says it's non-yellowing and can be mixed with paint and yada yada, all that good stuff. Number 8 is Golden Soft Gel Matte. And I think Bountiful Baby sells this one, if they're still selling it, I don't know. It's a soft body matte. It's acrylic. It's water-based, air dry. We'll see how that goes. I've got a couple of Goldens. Let me grab another one. This one is Golden's Matte Medium. It's liquid. I just happen to have it in my cupboard. That's number 9. So number 10 will be Liquitex's Acrylic Medium. This is matte varnish. It's the orange stripe. And I have the green. That'll be number 11. And again, I just have these for other projects. And they're not full, but you know, when times get strange, you just make do with what you have, right? This is the Outdoor Sealer. I think air dry paint people use this to prime. And I'm gonna see if we can't use this to seal. We'll see. Varnish the baby. Number 13 is this little jar of goodness. It's called 3D Dewy Skin. It's Ultimate Fusion. My tape. So that'll be number 13. I just have a little bit of it. I don't know if this is available everywhere. I must have gotten it some other time and just have it. And number 14, so I guess we only have 14, is good old Mod Podge. Now, I don't know why you couldn't seal with this. I mean, if you can seal paper onto wood and, you know, it's semi-permanent-ish, maybe you could use this. I don't know. Like I said, let's just try everything we have in the cupboard and see what sticks and what looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the camera. I have 14 brushes here. I'm going to use a different brush for every flavor because I don't want to mix things up. And then I will let it dry for a couple of hours and we'll come back and take a look and see what we got. I'll be back soon. Hi everyone, I'm back. It's been about an hour. Probably could have gone a little bit longer, but I think it's a warm day here and these dried pretty quickly. They're by no means cured, meaning that, you know, they're not all the way done doing their magic, but I think we can get a good idea of what's what. A lot of people use a varnish straight out of the jar or the container. They might pour it onto a dish and then use a sponge or a brush to put it on there. If you'd use a brush, you'd probably go over with the sponge because you don't want any of those brush lines, and I'll show them to you here. And then they'd let it dry, maybe do 1 or 2 or even 3 coats. With Genesis, you don't really need to seal it at the end. And so people put on the matte varnish to keep it from looking shiny and to give it a little extra protection. Dolls aren't meant to be playthings. They are not meant for kids to drag around in mud and sleep with and be handled a lot. So really we shouldn't have to, but we do know that there are people who really, really love these dolls, and interacting with them brings them comfort and reduces their stress, especially if you're making a baby for a memory home where there are lots of hands on that baby. That being said, if it's going to be a super, super long time before heat set varnish comes back or until varnishes come back, I think we're going to be okay. This is really, I think this will be most important for babies that are painted with acrylic. I do think that they're going to need a top coat or a layer of varnish on top, just because we don't know the quality of certain paints and we're not sure how they cure on vinyl. I mean, you know, anecdotally, I guess we can share stories. Acrylic water-based paint really isn't intended for vinyl. So, I mean, that's can be like a discussion. I don't know everything. It's just my opinion. So let me tell you what I think about these varnishes just by looking at them. This is the body. The sun is starting to go down through the trees so you can see the filtered light. It's actually really pretty. A couple of these stand out to me. Now, my baseline here is number 1. That is Genesis Heat Set Matte Varnish. It's a very thin layer, and I used a sponge. If I did hair, toes, or feet, I would go way thicker than that, just because those are the areas that wear down faster. But this was just because I was being conservative with what I had, and just for this experiment. What I'm looking for personally is I want something that looks very matte. I like velvety if I can get that. I don't mind a little bit dewy, but I don't want shiny. So that's where I'm coming from when I do this. And the things that stand out to me right now, as you can see, is number 3. You can see this, you know, it's pretty shiny. And number 3 is this guy here, DecoArt DuraClear Matte Varnish in the 2-ounce bottle. It's an Americana paint. I probably wouldn't use this one. I think that's not going to work for this project. You might make it work. You can try lots of different things, but that's not my first pick. Here is 14. Not terrible. That might even be considered sort of dewy, but I don't know. I'm not loving it. I'm wondering, and I use these straight out of the jar. You can also mix some water them down, especially if they're thicker. Water them down and pat them on and see how it goes. And if you're not happy, you can do another round. But I think if you diluted this a little bit, this might work. And this is our friend, good old Mod Podge. It is the paper one. It's matte. It's in the blue bottle. It's not too expensive. And I did read the fine print. It can be used as a sealer, a glue, and a finish. So if you have some, or you're over at like your favorite craft store, this might work. You know, I would probably get the smaller bottle and try it out and see if you like it. But if times get hard, that's the finish that you'll get. My lamp a little closer so you can get a better look at that. Here's 14. Here's 4. And I used a brush so you can see all the bumps. Just because I didn't want to waste my sponges. 4 is not bad. Again, that could be considered dewy, and if you diluted it, that could work in a pinch. That's the DecoArt Americana Premium Matte Varnish. I'm not telling you to use or not to use a product. I'm just showing you what happened here with my experiment. So make sure you don't go, Gabriel over at St. Cloud Nursery told me to go get this, it'll work in a pinch, and I put it all over the baby that I spent 3 months painting and it ruined it and I hate her. Don't do that. If you do get it, use a tiny bit on a test part and see how it works out for you. Remember to mix them up really good, and you can dilute them. Make them last longer. 11, too shiny for me. It's just, I don't know. I'm not loving that. It's showing all those brush strokes. It's got a glare for sure. So I probably wouldn't use 11, and that's the Liquitex medium. That doesn't surprise me. This is a medium, not a varnish. This is used with paint, during painting, mixing paint. This isn't really used for a finish, a top coat, a varnish. But I had it and I thought, I'm gonna give it a go and see what happens. And it didn't work, so that's okay. It's 10, surprisingly. Let's see where 10 is. 10 is the Liquitex with the orange label. I think that might be considered dewy, but it is velvety dewy. It's really nice. I probably would use that. Definitely to varnish a baby. I would give it a shot anyway. 6. That's this guy. That's this guy's friend. So I'm looking at the difference between 5 and 6, and there isn't much. I mean, this is super flat and matte and nice. I like it. And this has just a teeny, I mean, it's almost not even detectable. Bit more shine, but hardly at all. So if you can get your hands on this guy, I would go for it. I would. I mean, it doesn't mean you should. Test it out for yourself. Remember, lots vary, how much you let it cure, what you're putting it on, and how thick you go, or if you dilute it. So play around. 2 is the Folk Art Duraclear Matte Varnish. That's this. I really like this. Super velvety, hard to find, but if you have it in your stash somewhere, or a friend of yours does, grab it up and use it. That's great stuff. The 8 is the Golden Body Soft Gel Matte. I got this, I think, through Bountiful Baby, or it was on my shelf, one or the other. I don't remember. I remember I bought one from them, but I don't remember which one it was, just because it was better priced than my craft store. So this one, not bad, but I probably, this would be if I didn't have anything. It picked up on the brush strokes, but it does have a little bit of a sheen. This could be tamed down, I think, if you didn't go on thick and if you diluted it just a bit. And 12 is this guy. It's got nice, it's super nice. I like it, nothing wrong with it. However, the thing that concerns me is that it actually disturbed the Sharpie. I mean, it smeared it, and it's very thin. It's very thin and liquidy. It has a little bit of a yellow tint to it. It says it's not non-yellowing, and I'm not sure it matters too much with these babies. But if I were gonna use that on an air dry baby, I would make very certain that your paint was cured, and then I would do a test spot. That's just me. That's how I feel about it. But let's see, 13 was Ultimate Fusion. You know, it's pretty matte. It has it's almost got a little bit of a satin. It's not shiny, but it has like a satin vibe. I don't know how to explain it. I would use it. The problem is I only have a teeny weeny bit. I don't remember how much I paid for it, and I'm guessing if it comes in a container this big, it's going to be a little on the pricey side, but hey, if it works, it works. And I'm sure you can dilute it. You might want to check with them and find out. I think I covered all of them. There you go. And let me give you a screenshot at the list of products that I used. You can always pause or do a screenshot if you need. And the ones in red that are circled are the ones that were just a no for me, a hard no. And the rest were, yeah, okay, you know. So I don't know if that is helpful to you. You know, during these times, people get excited and we just want to go out and buy up everything because we don't want to stop. If you're doing this for business and you have to stop because you're waiting for product, that could feel scary. But don't be scared. There's lots of things that you can use. Experiment, have fun, and even more. And that is it for my little experiment. Hope it helped. Happy painting. We'll see you later. Hey everyone, I just got back in my studio. I'm locking up to go to bed, and I thought I'd take a look at this plate one more time just to see what several hours have done and if it made a difference with the curing of the paint. 10 and 11 still look shiny. 13 and 14 still look shiny. 6 looks okay. 8 and 9 still shiny. 2 looks good. But this Mod Podge is doing all right. I'm thinking if one more time, if you know things get weird and this is what you got, this might not be a bad thing. I think what I'm going to do is let this belly cure overnight, and then I'm going to wet it and just take a look at it and see if it acts weird, if it wipes off, all that kind of stuff. And this little guy not doing so bad. So if you can find that online, that might not be such a bad thing. Some of it mellowed out a little bit. So worry not, there are still options out there. And you know, if things do get weird, there's lots of other things we can do. Don't forget, there are lots of orphan babies over at the thrift store. You can get yourself some acetone, wipe off the factory paint, and go back to basics. Go old school on reborns if you run out of supplies. I mean, 20 years ago, the people who were making these babies didn't have all the stuff we had now. They had to use store-bought dolls or thrifted dolls, and they used house paint and varnishes and nail polish, you name it. They were so resourceful. And at the end of the day, you know what? We've got a lot to learn from them. So we got a little spoiled with all our fancy stuff. Don't freak out. Don't panic buy. Everything's going to be okay. And we got some workarounds and some hacks we can do. Have a good night, everybody. Hey everyone, it's been a little over 24 hours since these guys cured, and I know I am just doing this thing to death, but I want to make sure that we can use other products should we need to. Ultimate Fusion 3D Dewy Skin. It actually got really nice. It just needed a little more time to cure. 14 is the Mod Podge. Yeah, it matted out a little bit more too. But, you know, I would just probably do that if you couldn't find anything else. And let's look at what else we have here. 10 is the Liquitex Professional Matte Varnish. It matted out. Now, there's a part here that I missed, if you can see that. So that would have been like the regular vinyl, and this would have been how it turned out. So given some time to cure, that actually turned out pretty good, and it's almost as nice as the Ultimate Fusion. Four isn't bad. That's the DecoArt Americana Premium Matte. Well, thanks for hanging out with me while we did this little experiment. Have a good day, everybody.